Hello, so hope you get a notification for this. When a few people are on, I'll explain why I didn't stream yesterday. I know some of you do know, but obviously I'll tell a few more people when everybody comes on. But there's, quite a serious reason for it. But hope everybody's well anyway. So this came today, even though I wasn't expecting this one to come before some of the other things. But one of the last things I actually bought recently, and that's going back a couple of weeks ago from the US, a Victoreen 450, which is a digital ion chamber. Now, the screen isn't brilliant on this one because it's one of those old sort of generation LCD screens, where the numbers don't always display right. But it seems the longer it's turned on, the better the numbers display. And unfortunately, this isn't the model with the backlight either, because there's one model of this that has a really cool, like bright blue backlight, bright blue backlight. But this isn't that one, so it makes it slightly harder to read because it means you have to have like a light on in the room to read the screen. But so hello everybody. But basically, what this is a digital ionization chamber. Yeah, it's very, very shiny, isn't it? The Mylar window, whatever they micro Mylar window they call it on there. That's to let the beta radiation through. And with that one, it's meant to basically cover it from beta radiation. It's technically, this isn't a pressurized gas one. I thought it would be, but it's just an open air one, because if you open up the inside and look inside, it's just literally kind of like a cardboard sort of ion chamber type thing. All right, Mike. All right, Gretchen. I'm all right, Gretchen. I don't know if you heard what had happened recently, but I'll let a few people join and then I'll say. But we had a death in the family basically recently. That's why I wasn't on yesterday, because I wasn't really in the mood to do a stream in case I had anybody on being a twat or whatever. So it was kind of an expected thing to happen, but you're still not really prepared for it, are you, when you have a close relative die? But I won't say too much more than that because I don't want to make it a really negative stream. But that's what happened anyway. But yeah, so there you go, Victoreen 450. I haven't really tested this with any sources yet. Thanks everybody who was actually supportive. The numbers will jump around a bit because it's an ion chamber, and obviously if you know about ion chambers, they're kind of quite air sensitive dependent. So if you do that, the numbers normally jump up or jump down a bit. So let's get a sample anyway and see if we can get it to give a fairly good reading. Let's see what it says on FiestaWare. So at the moment it's saying 0.14, so it's going to real numbers. Let's put that there. Still going down, is it? Might, because most of this is beta radiation. Let's just put it like that, see if that makes a difference. It is going up slightly now. Yeah, I won't be doing as many videos at the moment. I'll still, thank you Gretchen and everybody. But yeah, I won't be doing as many videos and everything at the moment. Well, videos I probably will be, but not as many live streams soon. But yeah, just because of that, until a lot of that's sort of all sorted. But yeah, let's try it like that. Does that? Yeah, that's going up quite fast now. Because you can see that bar on the bottom is like a millirontgen bar. I quite like the display on this, even if it is a very old sort of crap LCD display. Yeah, I love how reflective this is, the window on it. But yeah, I'll get a stronger sample for it. But yeah, I'll eventually get round to doing a video. Now I've got that one, I'll probably do it fairly soon on digital ion chambers versus, like conventional ion chambers. Let's use this. The all these samples from the, what's it called? Automate. If it wants to focus. So I'm 4.1 millirontgen. Four 4.5, 4.6. It's just whatever material they use. I think it's something like Mylar, it's called. It's quite an expensive kind of metallic surface, but I think the idea is it just lets quite a lot of radiation through without, like causing the chamber to short circuit. Yeah, Mike, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, it's a bit closer with your dad, wasn't it? But it's still, one of those things. I think you have to be in the right mood to do it, don't you? But yeah, so, and as you can see, it's sort of dropping back down to background levels now. I've taken this stuff away. Yeah, let's just pop it back over. And it should start going up again. Yeah, there we go. I wonder what it's like if I just put it directly there. Not quite as sensitive, it would seem. It's quite hard, annoyingly, to get this at an angle where you can see it on the camera and also get a reading. But that's up to 9.4 there, 7.1, 7.5, 8.5. You need a mericinium for that. I think this isn't going to read a mericinium. You'll get a little bit of the gamma radiation off the mericinium, but I think, and I do have one handy, I think a little bit of mericinium probably won't read through there at all, but let's try it. Oh, actually, it does. All right, that's pretty interesting. Right, watch this. We'll let it go down. Yeah, it can update quite fast. So if I can hold it at an angle where you can see it. Right, hopefully it will focus on the number there. So it's 0.38 or so. Let's put this here. Yeah, that is actually quite responsive to the americinium. But that's mostly the gamma energy it's picking up there. Because the alpha from americinium isn't really strong enough to get through. But if people did want to see this with a proper sample, at some point I can get some, I won't do it on the stream, obviously, but I will test it on some like radium and some probably strontium-90, and this will probably read strontium-90 quite well. Let's put the cover back on. Let's forget off now. But yeah, if you're in the US anyway, and you see Victoreen 450s for cheap, they are pretty damn good if you wanted an affordable, accurate ionization chamber. And they're pretty lightweight, and they've got the classic yellow look of the, that's what I kind of like with them. They've got still the old kind of look of the old units to them. I think they're visually still pretty close to them in a way, but obviously this is a lot more lightweight and a lot more accurate. But I'll definitely need to get round to doing a video on the digital ionization chambers, because as I said, digital ion chambers are fucking amazing when it comes to CBRN detecting stuff. Not CBRN, sorry, just really radiological stuff. But I really do like digital ion chambers just because of how accurate they are for what they do. Do you know what model it is, Alma? One of my relatives died, Marcus. That's why I didn't stream yesterday. But anyway, so yeah, this is quite good as well. The Keithley one. Just re-zero that on 0. This has a better display on this one, I'd say. But, well, a simpler display, but you can see the numbers a bit easier. But I do really like both of these, actually. Okay. It depends on the model, Alma. That's the problem. Because there's US CDV 700, 715s, there's loads. If it's got all the bits with it and it works and it's not too expensive. Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate it. But yeah, it would really depend on the model. Because some models are, worth more than others, and it depends if they work or not. But Yeah, I mean, with the ion chambers, I mean, the Geiger counters don't technically either if they're the CDVs, because all the guts of the CDV series is actually attached to the top panel. But yeah, obviously the bottom bit protects nearly all the stuff. So if it had all the parts and it worked, you know, and it's kept in good dry conditions, it doesn't really matter. Right, let me show you, Alma. Let me show you with one of these, because I think I can demonstrate it pretty well. I don't know if it is this model. This is an ion chamber anyway. This is the CDV 720. But with the top bit off, it will look like that. So basically, if it's got all this stuff here and it works, let's turn it on and zero it. I went the wrong way then. Basically, like this, they will work. Obviously, you just have to be very careful about damaging all the insides. But yeah, I'm assuming you're probably looking at a CDV, Alma. It's hard to say which model, but most of the US Civil Defense series all work like that. Thank you very much, Oliver. I really appreciate that. But yeah, the thing is, like I said, some people are saying to me, you know, you should just take a break completely from YouTube. But I thought, really, to be honest, this kind of keeps me sane. Because although England's easing lockdown, I really don't think it's going to go very well. And I think we're going to be back into lockdown quite soon. But in some ways, that's good for me if chat's quiet today. But yeah, if it's, say, Alma, like one of these, all you really need to do is pop the batteries in the bottom. If it's all working, you know, turn it on and find out. The US never actually included the bit with radiation with the ionization chambers. The CDV 700s, often in the States, come with a little bit of radium on like one of the sides on the sticker, so you can put the probe on it. But yeah, if it's only $30 and you can actually get it working, I think any of the CDV series is good for that price, even if it's just an antique, and you might hopefully get it working. But basically, the CDV 700 is the one most people like, as the CDV 700 is the Geiger counter that can basically go from background radiation to 50 milliroentgen per hour, which isn't a massive amount of radiation, but you still never want to be around 50 milliroentgen per hour for extended periods. The CDV 715 and 720 are the doomsday ones because they use ion chambers. So basically, these are basically about 1 to 500 Roentgen. CDV 715 is 100 milliroentgen to 500 Roentgen. But basically, these chambers are the ones that are really designed to, you know, tell you, are you in a Chernobyl-like situation? The idea was that civil defense shelters were issued with both. The Geiger counter for low range, you know, checking people's clothing for contamination and stuff like that. These, when you'd send somebody up onto the surface to see, you know, how dead you'd be in an hour if you're on the surface, basically. Right. The Soviet pens, Bolding-Towsky, can charge on this US CDV dosimeter, but you won't be able to charge US CDV pens on Soviet, say, like DP-style dosimeters. Does that make sense? What is in the Roentgen reading, Kyle? According to their low-range dosimeters, which were wrong, 3.6 Roentgen, the real number, tens of thousands of Roentgen. There's probably not a precise number, but numbers like 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 fly around, several Roentgen per second, you know, 10 Roentgen per minute kind of numbers. That's the US one, Marcus. The British Civil Defence logo is different. There's the Finnish Civil Defence logo on that poster behind me, which is different again. But, you know, I think different countries use different civil defence logos, but yeah, the CDV 700 is the one with the Geiger Muller tube on the actual handle. So you hold the handle and then it's got like the tube which you can detach from the handle there. The others, you know, so that would be the CDV 700, and that's the most practical one. Because as I said, the CDV 700 is a Geiger counter and it works at background radiation levels. So you can literally find out if your house is safe or if there's like somebody spilt some uranium on the carpet or something stupid. Yeah, all right, Alma. We're actually having a sort of Independence Day because they're restricting, you know, like taking a lot of the restrictions off, but a lot of people don't think it's a good idea because they think people are just going to go stupid and cause, you know, an extra spike. Right, Dan. It's hard to, I mean, you can look up the minimum and recommended specs for Stalker, but most modern PCs will manage it fine. Just bear in mind, it doesn't always make very good use of multi-cores and things like that. So you kind of have to, in a sense, have a PC that should be way better to run Stalker than you should need, because you have to brute force it sometimes. Yeah, I know, Nick. Yeah, for the people who don't know about Röntgen readings, I'm actually doing a video on this thing because I bought a massive whiteboard. So for radiation measurements, I can do like the science and mathematics on it for people who are really sad and want to know how the maths of the physics maths of radiation levels work. But I'll start off with a Röntgen. So a Röntgen, one Röntgen refers to 1 centimeter cubed of air that has been ionized. Where it basically starts to mess with the air due to almost like the electrical interaction with the air due to the ionizing radiation. 1 Röntgen per hour is bad. You do not want to be around that for any period of time. But in general, 50 to 100 Röntgens in the air for an hour, if you're around it, is where you'll start to pick up radiation sickness. A couple of 100 Röntgens in the air, if you're around it for an hour, will be where you have a possibility of dying. And the higher the reading, the more likely it is you die. But Röntgens aren't really I'll come back to you in a second, Mom Spaghetti, but yeah, so mostly we went from the Röntgen to the grey or the sievert because it actually tells you directly more the damage done to the human body, not the energy in the air. Well, I know, Alma, you can buy thorium powder from China, or similar radioactive powders they call negative ion powders, which are literally just radioactive dust. Like how fad shit. I'll show some in the video at some point, but yeah, Big Clive and lots of channels have done a lot on the random radioactive, quackery items sold by China that are meant to be like hippie healing items where, the more you have it on you, the more your risk of cancer and death goes up. But yeah, Mom Spaghetti, that's horrible. Was it somebody you know in real life, or was it like somebody online? All right, cool, Radio. I'm sure you'll like it. Sorry, Radio Rider. Saying bear eggs are great just because of how simple they are. Like I said, for the price of these, they're not bad at all. I mean, they're a bit chunkier than modern units. The plastic isn't as tough, but real life, yeah, that's more of a shame because I mean, online you always meet pricks, won't you? Hopefully you sort things out. But I've had things like that happen to me in real life, and then everybody sort of normally sorts it out in the end. A lot of them, Alma, if it's thorium, it will be giving off alpha, beta, and gamma. But yeah, the thing is, you don't want to spill that stuff anywhere, do you? But yeah, I said the bear egg's good if you just want something that tells you if you're near something radioactive or not. You can't in the UK, can you, West, unless you're a cop? No, it'd be classed as a Section 5 firearm if you carried on you. There are a couple of sprays that are like self-defense sprays you can carry, like the ones that basically mildly sting people but like dye them. But the thing is, I wouldn't bother because a lot of people have the issue of it's legal to carry it, but a cop might see you with it and then think you've got pepper spray, and then you have to go through all the bollocks of, maybe being arrested and questioned for them to go, oh, actually, it was legal, wasn't it? A retro-looking Geiger counter that's small. Okay, let me have a think for you, Marcus. If you can get them in China easily enough, they're very cool. I mean, they're a bit bulky, but they are small. They don't tick. But you can't get many that are all that small that are retro. But these, Chinese Type 75 Geigers. So it comes in a nice leather carry pouch. flick it on, has a green backlight, and it does 0 to 200 Rontgen. Now, I've taken the sample out of it because the sample's a couple of Rontgen per hour dose equivalent, but you can still do a circuit check. So yeah, I know that's working. But yeah, this isn't really a background level counter again. It's more like, you know, the doomsday counters, because it's, if it wants to focus on it, come on. It's more of, you know, one of those displays that's for deadly levels of radiation. But these are cool if you wanted a sort of compact modern Geiger. The other one, if you can get a hold of one, is the other Chinese one, which is a lot more practical for most people. This one. This is like the fairly modernish Chinese one. But sadly, a lot of nations didn't really make retro little Geigers like this. Most of them are, you know, like the really bulky units because they had to have so much circuitry in them and snap. You can Kyle, but again, it depends what you're doing with it. What's the attitude of somebody who might stop and search you, something like that. So let me just get this one started up. This did used to tick and beep, but I've broken the speaker on it because it had a really loud, shrill, like beeping alarm to the point where you couldn't really use it because, you know, you couldn't have it on in your house because of how loud it beeped. Wow, Alma, the thing is, you don't become radioactive yourself because there's the only thing that makes stuff radioactive is a thing called a neutron. Most things don't emit neutrons. But you still don't want to, you know, stay around and handle things for long periods. All right, so the reading should start dropping down now. So yeah, this would have beeped originally, Marcus, but yeah, these are good. So they do microgray an hour and milligray an hour, and it maxes out at several milligray per hour, which is levels you really don't want to be around. So yeah, this doesn't measure background levels though, but it runs on 2 AA batteries, which is quite good. But yeah, I do really like the display on this unit. Sadly, there aren't that many. Not retro, at least. You can get the best thing I can recommend for like minor European things is something like a Therapy or one of those. But the ones I quite like, now this is one that's obviously damaged, and I cannibalized parts from it. But you can get these like little pocket dosimeters. I've done videos on them where the LCD displays on the top, you know, it clips onto your shirt and then you can just look down and get a reading. But, you know, these aren't really, you know, retro. They're pretty modern. This brand is called Sake, by the way, because you can often get these for like £10 to £30 secondhand on eBay. If it wants to focus. Yeah, there you go. I've got a couple of working ones of those, but yeah. The problem is, like you said, with retro Geigers, you can't get them very small because, like, retro ones tend to be like that size because, you know, it's modern computer chips and things that have made us be able to make them a lot smaller. Like, this is like the smallest you'd get a retro Geiger, in my opinion, because of, you know, like how much stuff is actually inside them. Let me get the back off and I can show you. And just take the batteries out as well. Yeah, so basically, obviously, you do need a certain amount of electronics for a Geiger counter to work. So you've got your GM tube there. You know, you've got your little chips in it. Your, oh, what the bloody names of them? Capacitors, resistors, you know, all the stuff like that in there. Oh, for anybody wondering where it is, on this one, if you ever want to adjust the calibration, it's that bit there. So I've put it really low at the moment, so it's always in green at background radiation. Something like positive air pressure respirator or something, Mom Spaghetti, I think. It's one of those quite boring, straightforward, you know, drop the button out as always. It's one of those like very boring, straightforward acronyms. If I can line this back up with its case, which which is sometimes easier said than done. There we go. And then I get the batteries back. Where did I put the bloody batteries? Somewhere on the desk where I can't see them. There they are. And positive is that way around. Put the cover back on. And it's still working, yeah. So yeah, the most retro small one you can get is this Marcus. But if you look at Surviving the Apocalypse's channel, he's done lots of videos on like the 1980s and 1990s pocket calculator style Ukrainian Russian counters, which are pretty cool. Obviously, the thing is you have, is things like this and the Therapy end up being way more practical if you actually want to do stuff with them. But if you like the retro coolness factor of them, things like this I think are very cool. It won't give you a real number, this. It basically just says green if it's background radiation, and then it pretty much goes straight to red if you've got a sample near it. Yeah, I'm doing all right, thanks, Monty. I mean, at the moment, it's still, the stage of kind of processing all of it, I guess. But yeah, so I hope that helps, Marcus. But as I said, it's not the easiest thing to answer, really, because if you want retro, you can't really get that with compact. Normally, retro is bulky. Modern is compact kind of thing. It's an S10 in The Last of Us, Evan, at least the first one. The thing under the orange thing, that's helpful. What's the orange thing? The Plessey PDRM82? The Nixie tube clock? The sign? That's brown rather than orange, but that's the Polish RS-70 radiation detector. That's the old big British Army vehicle-based radiation detector. All right, thanks, Braden. I'm not going to, with what's happened, I'm not going to be drinking silly, but I have got another pint of Old Speckled Hen to have, which I've barely touched this stream so far because I've been talking to people. But cheers. Oh, at the moment, I can't play the second one because I don't have any modern consoles, but Ghost Renegade stuff, very hard to say. Probably in the US, FM12 and S10's like $100 to $200, but apparently often they're just stupid money. I don't actually know, Marcus. Was it some sort of PDA? I don't actually know. But it depends if it's a specific thing. But there's old like radios and like personal data assistants, PDAs, which kind of look like chunky old phones. But right, I might catch that mic, I might not. I'll have to see how I'm feeling. But yeah, I'll definitely catch your regular stream. Oh, you're all about The Last of Us 2 then, Gretchen. No spoilers. I have heard spoilers for it, but, I don't want people spoiling it for other people. The thing is, I probably wouldn't play it anyway. I said, later this year, I'm tempted to get a PS5 for the Demon's Souls remake. Other than that, not got much. When you say HAS mask, do you mean a gas mask? Literally what's ever comfortable for you to keep on for a long time that you can put a P3 or P100 particle filter on. But a lot of the time it just comes down to what you can afford, what you'd be comfortable wearing. Because again, the problem is if a mask's not comfortable and you don't wear it and you leave it at home or don't put it on your face, it's no good because you're not wearing it. So right, Monty, sorry, I nearly missed your comment. The type of devices that they use in things like Chernobyl, they use quite a few different types of radiation things in Chernobyl. The regular type they'd have given soldiers was things like this, DKP-50s, which are like the Soviet dosimeter pens. You basically look through them, hold them up to the light, and it shows you what radiation level you've absorbed. It's really hard to show these on camera, so let me just Let me just get a torch, but I probably can't show it very well because it generally like whites out on camera, you know, rather than it being a sensible, you know, thing of let's see if you can see that. You can probably see that it says Rontgen, and it's at 0. But it's pretty hard to read these through there. That's the best I can get it. So that would be like one of the things they'd have, a dosimeter pen. But a lot of nations did away with these because soldiers would actually know if they'd been exposed to deadly levels of radiation. And they didn't obviously want to, you know, let soldiers know. Because if you had one of these on you, or you had a couple of these on you and you looked at all of them and they said, you know, like 50, 100 Rontgen, whatever, you knew you'd been exposed to a lot of radiation. So a lot of nations did away with those so they could basically just deny, I think, rights to soldiers later on who had cancer or, you know, other illnesses that they got them from whatever they were exposed to with radiation, which is fucked up, but, you know, every nation's done that. The Soviet main one they used, which I should have behind me here, oh, there it is the DP5. Now, this is the pretty famous Soviet series. They did a load of different variants of these, but the DP5 is probably the most famous. So the DP5 is the Soviet Geiger-Müller counter for like infantry and everything. You know, in the first episode when Sitnikov says they found another meter, but it maxed out at 200 Rontgen. That's what this maxes out at, 200 Rontgen. So it has sort of a 1 scale or 10 scale multiplier to begin with 0 to 5 millirontgen. And then you go up to a 200 scale and use the bottom bit where it does basically 0 to 200 Rontgen. So if I flick this on and just power it on and get it all working. Right, so that's it on the lowest scale. So you can probably see it's barely moving because, you know, thankfully the radiation levels here are pretty low. So that's background radiation. If I open, you know, if I expose it to something, we'll see the number go up a bit more. So I know you can't see it on the thing there, but yeah, that's definitely working. And I've got over here the speakers for it. So if I plug those in, wherever I've put them, they should be on here somewhere. Ah, they've fallen down, that's why. It does make a very good retro Geiger clicking noise, this one. No, I don't know if the headphones will pick it up from there. I actually really don't know, Marcus, I'm afraid. There might be other people that you could ask about PDAs, but I've never really ever looked into them. So I don't know who'd be the best thing. Yes, but the CDV 750, Keegan, isn't a Geiger counter, it's an ion chamber. So here's the thing. A DP5 does background levels to 200 Rontgen. The US equivalent of it, the CDV 700, does 0 to 50 millirontgen. So the DP5 is way better because having one counter the same size as one of those units that does a massive range is way better. Can you hear that ticking there? I can hear it ticking because it's quite a loud little speaker on those. Yeah, that's it. That's it clicking at background level. Of course, if I bring over something that actually, you know, is radioactive to it. Yeah, there you go. So, as I said, works perfectly. So yeah, DP5s are amazing, but if you get a DP5, I'd advise you probably just to go for the DP5V, which was like the last generation of them pretty much, which means that, you know, you can run them easily. Also, there's the other one, isn't there, that they replaced the DP5 with, that Surviving the Apocalypse has done a video on, that runs on C cells, I think it is, rather than running on bloody weird Soviet batteries. That makes it easier to run. But yeah, so for the people asking what was the Chernobyl Geiger counter, DP5 series mostly. They'd have had ones like that in the vehicles. But yeah, the Soviet Union had a massive mix of like radiation detecting equipment. If you're on about that sign, that was on eBay ages ago, and I haven't seen another one since. Yes, very different, Keegan. Ion chambers have literally a box that detects ionization of the air. Geiger counters use a Geiger-Müller tube. In old technology, because again, as technology changes with computer chips and that, it kind of makes things very different, but those are ion chambers, those units there, those three there. Ion chambers basically are literally a box where it detects how radioactive the air is inside the box. Geiger counters use a little glass tube, or you know, like a metal tube called a Geiger-Müller tube, which works a bit like a light bulb. And it has a gas inside that's far more sensitive to radiation than normal air. And basically what happens is every time radiation hits the Geiger-Müller tube, it causes it to sort of flash or spark inside, and then it counts those, and that's why it's a counter. So in old technology, Geiger counters tended to be much better at low radiation ranges because they were very sensitive, whereas ion chambers were much better at really scary levels of radiation because of how simple they were. It's literally a box that measures how radioactive the air is. Well, we're chatting now, aren't we, Frosty? If you're asking when I'm next to a stream, sorry, I can't tell you. If it's really, really ionized, Kyle, yes. But if you ever see air glowing like that, something has gone very horribly wrong. Oh, that's Fiestaware, thanks, Dunno. If you search Fiestaware radioactive red, you'll find it. But yeah, an ion chamber compared to a simple Geiger-Müller tube. Yeah, as I've said before, Radio Rider, you always get gamma traveling through stuff. You just need loads and loads and loads of lead, because you literally need lead bricks to stop gamma rays properly. It's why distance is more important than shielding. An ion chamber is literally a box like that, or, you know, a little drum like that. The point is it's a container, basically, which just measures how radioactive the air is inside through electrical current. Whereas Geiger-Müller tubes, as I said, are a lot more complicated, because a Geiger-Müller tube is literally like no. But the good thing, obviously, with modern digital ion chambers is the fact that, you know, they can measure background levels of radiation as well as extremely high levels of radiation. So I'll turn that on. That will self-zero itself, so it'll go down to about, you know, 0.1 milliroentgen per hour or whatever. And then this is pretty handy. And obviously, this is lightweight. This is just as small as a Geiger counter. It's very sensitive. Fairly modern. This is a Victoreen 450, as you can see it says there. There are some better models than this, but, you know, you have to, in the UK, import them from the States. If you're in the States, you can probably get under $100 if you're like me and have to import them from the States. Like the Keithleys, they're pretty expensive, but, you know, as I said, these are the last few things I bought at the moment. So this has two modes on this one. It has what I assume is a cumulative dose, and this one, which is dose rate. So that's, you know, as you can see, milliroentgen per hour, it says there. So that will go down to, when it finishes zeroing, it will go down to like basically zero. Mode is where it shows you how much it's accumulated. Interestingly, that's going to be micro roentgens, isn't it? because that's definitely per hour, that one. Yeah, so that's going to be, I should think, unless it's in millisievert or whatever, or sieverts, it does the other one. Oh no, it's sieverts, that top one. Okay, so yeah, so basically that's saying so far it has detected 0.3 microsieverts of radiation, like the dose you've accumulated, and dose rate is in millirontgen per hour. It's kind of weird that they use both on there, but whatever. Yeah, GB5 is a gateway drug to get involved. This has a very strange battery compartment, though. It took me ages to figure out how to open the fucking battery compartment. There are two little Allen keys in here. You lift them up vertically. If anybody gets one of these, just so you know how you actually open it without damaging it. You get little Allen keys here, look. You have to lift up the Allen keys, and then you can open the battery compartment. So I'll close that back again. So you open the rear and front battery compartment, and then you put a 9-volt facing inwards on each of them. Some models are much nicer, Bolding-Towski, because some models of this have a blue backlight on it on all times, which means that you can see it, in the dark much better. But the thing I do like with the display on this is how it constantly updates the bottom bar. So if you look there, that's 0 to 5 at the moment. At higher radiation levels, it would go to like 0 to 10 or 0 to 50 or whatever. So as well as getting the actual thing, you can see how it is on a scale kind of thing. Originally, they were yellow because of civil defense. Civil defense yellow was kind of the bright yellow they painted things in to mark the person as a civil defense worker. But yeah. So this was last calibrated in 2003, apparently. And then I guess they never bothered to get it calibrated again. And it's been sitting in storage ever since. And then, goes for sale on eBay eventually. The ion chamber in this, I won't open it up all now. It's actually really simple. It's just an air-filled ionization chamber. That's literally like, one of the box type ones. There's no gas in it. It's just literally a cardboard and sort of metal ion chamber that just sits on the circuit board. But, that works really, because that is all an ion chamber really is. Too much, Monty, the answer to that is. I'll be off fairly soon as well, because as I said, because of all the stuff that's happened recently, I just want to have a bit of an easy night tonight, but I did want to stream and let people know what was going on. Yeah, I do like this. I mean, as I said, it's one of those old generation LCD displays which doesn't display the numbers as well as it used to, in terms of, like slightly dead spots on the LCD, but overall, this is very nice. But yeah, I am going to do a video at some point where I get this in the Keithley and basically demonstrate why I kind of like modern digital ion chambers more than Geiger counters, but that, as I said, that's a video for another day. But yeah, the reason I like ion chambers, if you want a TLDR answer, the digital modern ones, more than Geiger counters, because ion chambers actually know how much the ionization of the air is, not doing a dose equivalence. So basically, the issue of a Geiger counter is, for those of you that don't know, a Geiger counter counts, and then it has a set radioisotope. Yeah, I'll get around to that at some point, Kyle. Where basically, they basically said when they made the Geiger counter, like, however many counts per minute on like cesium-137 or strontium-90 or whatever else means you effectively get a dose of this. Now, that's completely accurate if what you're measuring with the Geiger counter is that radioisotope. The issue is the Geiger counter doesn't know what the radioisotope is, nor do you probably if you're just in the field and it starts going off. So the reason I like ion chambers more is that an ion chamber, if it's sensitive enough, is actually telling you the real number of the ionization of the air, because what it's actually doing is it's measuring how energetic the air is inside its chamber. But yeah, I'm not sure if the video I'll film first will be the one on digital ion chambers or the Rontgen unit, but I'll do either one of those. But as I said, with all the stuff going on at the moment, I'm not really committing to when I'm getting a lot of stuff done, just because obviously spending time with my family and, you know, comforting people is a bit more important. But yeah, so that's the main reason I like ion chambers more. I mean, there's the really good modern spectrometers or scintillators, whatever they are, where they actually have an inbuilt digital bank of radioisotopes, and it can identify the radioisotope, and then it gives you the exact dose of what you're receiving from it based on what the radioisotope is, but they are really expensive. FLIR do a really good thing like that, but I can't remember what the actual name of it is. Right, Radio Rider, they've got several at Calvert & Hatch. They've got Mark 1 contamination meters, and they've got Mark 2 radiacs, and they've got a few of the other sort of style ones. But the main ones, see that black one in the middle there, like the grey and black one? That will be one of the ones they've got loads of in bags around Calvert & Hatch, the Mark 2 radiac. That's the British one that's for ion chamber for high levels of radiation levels, 0 to 300 Rontgen. The other one they've got is the contamination meter, or like Geiger counter Mark 1 Geiger counter, Mark 1 contamination meter, which is a giant sort of off-white thing that does 0 to 10 millirontgen or something. It's this giant Geiger counter, and it does a tiny range. I don't know if I've ever done a proper video on it. Actually, if you look at my British Geiger counter collection, or whatever it's called, it's in there at the beginning. But the issue is you can't really power them anymore because they require so many types of weird obsolete batteries. Anyway, I'll be off in a minute. Thanks everybody that's donated, and that. It's been quite nice, because I didn't know if I was doing a stream today if you get people going, ha, it's funny your relative died, you know. Yeah, it is good Radio Rider. It's just, sadly for me, it's not all that close, you know. Well, it is, but it's not a very good road for traffic, so, you know. But yeah, so saying I'm glad everybody was nice on this stream, because you always know with some streams like this, you'll get people trying to be as dickheadish as possible. So yeah, I might not be, as Snorky said, thank you Snorky, I might not be streaming as much at the moment, just because, you know, all the stuff going on, personal family life type stuff. I'll probably still try and do videos Wednesday, Fridays and Sundays for the time being, because, you know, I can just get them filmed when I'm chill and just schedule them to go up. But yeah, I'll see you on your stream, Mike. But yeah, thank you everybody, have a good evening everybody, thanks, you know, good wishes to everybody, hope everybody else as well.